Merriam-Webster's online dictionary defines choose as to select freely and after consideration, to decide on especially by vote. When our nation was founded, our ability to select freely how we live our lives and to decide who will represent us was not only a fundamental part of the character of this nation, it was unique in the world. Throughout our almost 250-year history, this power of choice was not only the envy of many of the world's population, but drew them to our shores with the hope that their children would be able to choose for themselves. While not always smooth, our ability to choose not only shaped our lives, but the lives of billions across this planet. As often as I hear people complain about their choices being taken away from them, more often than not, it has been we the people who have given up our right to choose rather than others taking it away. Now, every choice has consequences. Even choosing not to decide has consequences. In the long run, our choices come down to a consequences we are willing to endure. Take, for example, our own War of Independence. Independence is defined as a state of being not dependent, complete exemption from control or the power of others, a state in which a person does not rely on others for sustenance, ability to support oneself, a state of mind in which a person acts without bias or influence from others, exemption from undue influence, self-direction. For decades, the King and Parliament of Great Britain chose to enact laws and taxes upon the colonies, many of which violated the rights of those colonists. During that time, the colonies chose to push back, either by request or by disobeying the laws and edicts. This, of course, led to conflicts between the colonies and Great Britain. On April 19, 1775, the consequences of those decisions blew up. Picture April 19, 1775, Lexington, Massachusetts. Imagine you're a member of the Massachusetts militia. Having heard the warnings about the British marching for your neighbors in Concord to confiscate their ammunition, you respond with your fellow militiamen and gather on Lexington Green. Shortly after dawn, you see a column of British soldiers marching your way. As their commander orders them to halt, you stand there, nervous but steadfast. This is your land, your home, and you will defend it. The British commander orders you and your fellow militiamen to lay down your arms and go home. You have a choice. Yes, you had joined the militia, giving your word to follow the orders of your commander, Captain John Parker. The British Army had law enforcement powers, so their commands to disarm and go home had legal authority. You probably didn't realize it, but what you and your fellow militiamen did in the next few moments would change the world forever. As you stand there, you have a choice. Do you stand with the militia or obey the legal authority? The choice is yours, and you will suffer the consequences. Your commanding officer makes a choice and issues orders. Stand your ground. He chooses to disobey the legal authority, recognizing the violation of the colonists' rights. He orders his troops to do so as well. They will not lay down their arms. They will not go home. Don't fire unless fired upon. He chose not to escalate the situation. He will not order his men to fire. Neither will he expect them to stand defenseless if attacked. But if they mean to have war, let it begin here. There's your choice. Do you stand against the legal authority or obey it? Do you hold your fire, waiting for your opponents to fire first? Should they attack, do you stand and fight, or do you flee? Captain Parker made his choice. Independence was more important than life and limb. If the British wanted war, he was willing to give it to them. However, you still have a choice. Obey your commanding officer or the legal authority. What do? History tells us that someone fired. Who was it? We're not sure. The battle that followed effectively started the War for Independence, or as we call it today, the Revolutionary War. In those times it was called the War for Independence, but in many ways it was the war to remain independent. The Massachusetts militia at Lexington Green had looked at what the legal government was doing and knew it was wrong. They considered, to whatever extent possible, the consequences of their decisions and chose independence over servitude. To this day, we live with the consequences of those actions.